What's up, guys? Rick from DFS On Demand here with your betting preview for this week's Arnold Palmer Invitational. I don't know. Let's jump right into it. I don't have anything else to say. Let's go. All right, so for those of you who are new to the channel, what I have here on DFSOnDemand.com is what I call a tournament simulator, which is taking the range of outcomes for every single golfer. So how often they can get to their ceiling, or what their ceiling is, what their floor is, and determining how often they are going to get to, quote unquote, the winning score. And then we compare that against the implied odds on Vegas, and we see if there are any values in the outright market. Certainly not an exact science, and you can adjust the date ranges and stuff like that, but I do think it is super handy. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go to this historic strokes gained tool on DFS On Demand, and we're going to look to see, basically, I shouldn't say the winning score, how many strokes gained won in previous years. So in 2019, Francesco Molinari won this event. He gained 13.2 strokes on the field. Now, he won by 2 shots. So Matthew Fitzpatrick in second finished at 11.29 strokes gained. So really, 12 would have won it in theory. In 2018, Rory kind of ran away with this. It was a 3-shot lead. He gained almost 18 strokes, and then Bryson was behind him at just a hair under 15, and then Rose behind him at a hair under 14. So as of right now, we're kind of hovering in that 12, 13, 14 range. And then if you go back to 2017, same story. Leishman won it, gaining 14.2, and then there was a bunch of guys at 13.2 and 12.2. So I think realistically, we can say 13 or 14 strokes gained gives you a very good chance of winning this golf tournament. So now we can decide, and we can plug that number in. So I'll keep it at 14 to see which golfers are going to get to 14 strokes gained most often. So for example, despite the ridiculously low 5-to-1 odds on Rory McIlroy, which implies that he needs to win this golf tournament 16.6% of the time, he is actually a small value in this model because he gets to the winning score about 17.5% of the time, almost 1% more often. Now, you can argue getting to 14 strokes gained, this isn't an argument, this is the facts. Getting to 14 strokes gained does not guarantee you victory. It is just a target score that we are using that generally has won in the past or gotten you very close to winning. So keep that in mind. If you change this to 15 strokes gained, I'm not sure Rory is still a value. He's not, because he only gets there 13% of the time, and he still needs to win 16.5% of the time. So keep that in mind. It is a very narrow margin. Next up, of the top guys, the Adam Scott, and this is Adam Scott, excuse me, kind of has a smaller sample size because, you know, he only has 17 starts. I'm using since January 1st of 2019. I can extend this back further. I can shorten it to see who's hotter. You're going to get more volatile results. But I like, you know, basically we're at, what, 13 months or something like that of data, which is usually enough tournaments for these guys. But I only have 17 starts worth of data on Adam Scott. But in those starts, he has gotten to this winning score over 10% of the time, and Vegas odds at 20-1 have him at about 5%, so he would be a value. Brooks Koepka is a value, although I imagine if you make this range much shorter and much more recent, he is not going to be a value. Let's see. So I have him getting to the winning score 11.6% of the time. If I shorten this to like September or October on, I don't even know where he is. Brooks. Oh, he doesn't have enough he doesn't have enough starts to qualify. Hold on. So let me back up a little bit more. We'll try like August. Here we go. Yeah, in August, if you go from August 8th on, which is kind of, I just backed it up a little bit, which is 5 starts for Brooks, 5 measured starts, he never gets to this winning score. So you can see how adjusting the date range can kind of impact this stuff, because we know how bad Brooks has been. But if you want to take on, you know, a larger sample, Brooks would, in theory, be a value here. So let's sort by the biggest values. I think Brooks is the guy. Yeah, but again, this model is not end all be all. I think you have to use a little math. You have to use a little feel. So Brooks, despite being the top guy, is not going to get my bet this week. Adam Scott would be the next best value, then Justin Rose, then Mark Leishman, then Kevin Na. Similar names that we see each week because these are the guys that have the ability to pop off. These are guys that win around the world. It makes sense. And then you go all the way down. So I have about, let's see, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's about 25 guys in this field of 115 that I have data on who, in theory, would be a good value. Now, a lot of them are the teeniest and tiniest of values. There are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys who have a 1% or greater edge. So from biggest to smallest, that's Brooks Koepka, Adam Scott, Justin Rose, Mark Leishman, Kevin Na, Nate Lashley, and Sung Kang are the only 7 golfers, and they do span all different odds. I mean, Scott at 20 to 1, all the way down to Nate Lashley at 300 to 1. I mean, Lashley only needs to win this event 1/3 of 1% of a time to pay back his value. I have him winning it, or at least getting to the winning score, about 2.5% of the time. So very small, very unlikely, but still a value. Okay, let's go over to the well, before I go to the head-to-head betting matchup tool, let's go to the DraftKings Sportsbook. And again, I'll say it again. I don't have access to bet on the DraftKings Sportsbook. It is not available in California, but I know it is rolling out. And for uniformity purposes, I want to use a regulated U.S. book that a lot of people either have access to now, depending on what state you're in, or will have access to in the future. So I'm sticking with DraftKings. I am not getting a kickback or anything from them. Although if DraftKings, you would like to reach out, I will gladly shill your product for you. But not currently. So let's go to the tournament. Let's go to tournament matchups, because remember my matchup tool is it is for 4-round matchups. So as we click through some of these, I want to find guys who we probably have quite a bit of data on. Hideki versus Bryson DeChambeau. So Hideki is -120. Bryson is +110. Let's see if we can plug that one in. And again, I am using the same date range, which is January 1st, 2019, to do this. So Hideki versus Bryson. I have Hideki winning a 4-round matchup about 60% of the time, which would make his true projected money line -148, with Bryson being +148. Now that does not include any VIG for the sports book here, but if you go back and look, that means Hideki at -120 is probably still the correct side of this head-to-head matchup, and we have decent numbers on both of them. Hideki 92 measured rounds, Bryson at 78 measured rounds. I imagine, I mean Hideki's been good recently too, but if we really tightened this up like very, very recently, I bet you I could get Bryson to be the favorite. Yeah, so if I just go like the last 3 months, now we are talking tiny numbers. 12 measured rounds on Bryson, 20 on Hideki. I would not feel comfortable using that information, but I can get Bryson to a 53% favorite just because of how good he's been recently. So this is kind of why I like this tool and why I like messing around with it. If you want to, you can use very recent data. You can use the last 12 measured rounds for Bryson and the last 20 measured rounds for Hideki. I prefer to go a little longer, but there's nothing stopping you from doing these date ranges however you want, which is why I've included this on the tool, because I think it's really valuable. Okay, let's see if we can find another one here. Patrick Reed versus Sungjae. They are both -106, and that's interesting because both have had a lot of success. Let me see if I can pull these guys up real quick. So there's Sungjae, and I don't have a headshot for him. I'll have to work on that. versus Patrick Reed. Okay, this is pretty close. So I have Patrick Reed winning this about 54% of the time to Sungjae's 46% of the time. So for me, so that would be Reed minus 117, kind of true odds. This to me is a little bit too close. This is probably a no bet, not something that I would be interested in. Let's see what else we got. Okay, let's do Koepka versus Jason Day, because this could be interesting. So Koepka, and then we'll shorten the time frame, and I bet you I can get Jason Day to be like a super big favorite. Koepka versus Jason Day. Okay, so using my standard January 1st time frame, Koepka wins this about 58% of the time. Now, knowing what we know about Brooks and knowing about the injury, if we shorten this up, so let's just do it since the Tour Championship, when that injury kind of, reared its ugly head, and we do since October, yeah, this is how bad Brooks has been. I have Jason Day winning this 4-round matchup 88% of the time. He would be minus 758. Now, in reality, he is obviously not that big of a favorite. There are probably no two golfers, I was going to say on the face of the earth, in the professional world that this would be an 88%. If you play Rory versus me, that would be more than 88%. Rory versus, I don't even know who I could pick that Rory would be 88% to win. But Jason Day has 8 measured rounds. Brooks Koepka only has 7 measured rounds in this time frame, and Koepka is losing so many that the model only sees him at 11% to win this. So that is probably not true, but it is also probably not entirely true that Brooks is a 58% favorite. So I think you might be getting a little bit of value on the Jason Day side of it, obviously not to the point of 88%. And let's see if we can find one more here. Who would be good? Okay, let's look at Vaughn Taylor, Nick Taylor, because my personal belief on this is that if Nick Taylor did not win at Pebble Beach, he would not even be offered in a matchup. Okay, I'm trying to remember what the stat was. I wrote this stat up at some point this week. His win at Pebble was his first PGA Tour win. His first PGA Tour top 10 since like the 2018 Wyndham or something like that. It was 41 worldwide events between his 2 PGA Tour top 10s. One just happened to be the AT&T Pebble Beach win, which, quite frankly, that's the anomaly, not all the other stuff. So I'm going to assume, and I think the smash spot would be Vaughn Taylor here, minus 106 versus Nick Taylor, also minus 106. So let me see if I can do this here. Vaughn, this is the battle of the Taylors. Vaughn Taylor. Do I have enough rounds on Nick Taylor? I guess I should, right? Yeah. All right. Wow. Okay. So this is, I have 95 rounds for Vaughn Taylor, 96 for Nick Taylor. That's great. I have Vaughn Taylor at a 57% win probability. That's a pretty good number. That's generally what we see. And the fact that, which would put him about minus 132, the fact that we are, getting him at minus 106, that's great. And then also, the big thing that factors into Nick Taylor here is that win at Pebble. If you remove that win, and obviously you really shouldn't do that, but the rest of his stats are so kind of poor that win really boosts him up in the model. So just for fun, let's shrink this gap as if this was before Pebble Beach. So that would be like 2-1-2020. And really shrink this up so that he doesn't get credit for that win, but Vaughn Taylor doesn't get anything either. Still 57%. So there you go. I thought that was going to be a bigger change. It is obviously not. The model, pretty smart, I suppose. So to me, like personally, this is kind of a smash spot for Vaughn Taylor in my opinion. All right, as we wrap this up here, let's just see if there's any interesting props going on. I love the groups. I love group betting. Been very successful at these over the past couple of months. So Group A, Rory, Hideki, Adam Scott, Tommy Fleetwood, Bryson. Oof. I hate that Rory's in a group, I knew Rory was going to be in a group, but I hate that he's in a group with anyone I would want to actually bet here. So like I like Bryson, but that's he's plus 450, but that's kind of tough to put him in a spot with Rory as well. So that's probably a pass. Group B, Xander, Reed, Sungjae, Tony Finau, Ricky Fowler. Interesting. Probably a pass for me as well. Love Xander, but don't want to pay the plus 275 on it. Group C. Koepka, Benyon, Rose, Morikawa, Jason Day. Interesting. So Day, kind of all over the place. Rose hasn't been great recently. Koepka has been terrible recently. Benyon, who I love this week, but frankly, kind of lives and dies by the putter, which leaves Morikawa at plus 400. I could get behind Benyon, quite frankly, in this spot at plus 350, but Morikawa at plus 400 kind of speaks to me a little bit as well. I would probably bet him. I'd have to go check out my book and see if I have access to a group like this, but I would probably get on Morikawa. Group D, Fitzpatrick, Horschel, Watson, Hatton, Leishman. Ooh, all plus 350. That to me is probably a Leishman or Hatton. I like both of those guys this week. Every single guy in this group is plus 350. I'd probably lean for those two. Hovland, Answer, Moore, Stenson, Kisner. I don't love that. Vaughn Taylor, Nick Taylor, Poulter, Kevin Na, and Rafa Cabrera Bello. I guess, I mean, they're all either between 334 and 360. Kevin Na is always interesting because of his upside. His upside is legitimately winning golf tournaments. The rest of these guys are, don't necessarily have that great upside. So when I'm trying to beat four others, I might take on Kevin Na in this situation. Let's see what else we got. The nationality props. These are kind of interesting. English, Fleetwood Rose, Fitzpatrick. No, don't love that. Australia. Okay, Leishman plus 275 against Scott Day and Matt Jones. That's probably where my money would go. Asia. You can kind of see the trend here. I mean, I like the same guys, obviously. I mean, I guess you could just bet Benyon top 3. I mean, it's Hideki, Sungjae, Benyon. Then there's a pretty big gap between Sung Kang. You're going to make me say his name. Jazz Janawadanand, I believe is how he pronounces it. Siwoo Kim, Zinzun Zhang, CT Pan, Chun An Yu, and Anirban Lahiri. So obviously a big 3 there. So I wouldn't mind betting like Benyon top 3. That's minus 125. Europe. Let's see if there's anybody that we can go down and get. Man, no, not really. Maybe like Westwood top 4 pays out plus 320. He's probably like the 7th or 8th best player here, but not sprinting to the book for that. Sweden, no. Canada, I like Corey Connors way more than I like Nick Taylor, but probably not that enticing. Minus 120 for Nick Taylor, minus 110 for Mr. Corey Connors. I mean, South Africa, the odds aren't that deep, but like I would probably bet anybody but Charles Schwartzel. He gained 9 strokes putting last week. Probably something he's not going to do again. He's the favorite here. Not thrilled about it. Korea, I'll stay away from. Ireland, you could bet Rory minus 1,000 to beat Graham Dow and Paddy Harrington. That's kind of crazy. Continental Europe and Mexico. No. Okay, so that'll probably do it. I am in the midst of working on a lot more sports betting tools. A prop tool, which the way that I kind of envision this is that you will be able to pick the player, pick the prop. So if it's like birdies or score or various other things, right? Like you pick like what the stat is or the prop is, and then you put whatever the line is, 3.5, 4.5, whatever, or if it's for his round, 68.5, something like that. And then you can adjust kind of the range that you want to use for the stats like you can for all these other tools, and it will kind of tell you the likelihood that he goes over or under. So that's what I'm working on right now, hoping to unveil that over the course of the next couple weeks. I'll probably try to do it like the tournament predictor where I'll show you in videos and then I'll kind of go into beta. That's still very much in beta. That's still growing. And then kind of roll it out from there. So let me know what you think about that. Tweet me at RickRunGood. Leave a comment below. Best of luck this week, and I'll talk to you guys soon.